Hi guys, welcome back to ABOC Studio. In this video, I will show you how to crochet this vest that I got inspired by the Netflix series Wednesday. Wednesday wears this vest in episode 5. I couldn't get to look at it from all angles, so I kinda have to throw in some of my imagination to recreate it. For the tutorial, I will use brown and pink yarn instead of black and white, just because black yarn makes it really hard to see the stitches. Now let's get into it. For this project, you will need the 4mm crochet hook, scissors, yarn needle, and it is recommended for beginner to have 2 stitch markers. We will need DK yarn in 2 colors. Color A is the main one and the other one we will call color B. If you want your vest to be the same as the original, color A should be black and color B should be white. In this tutorial, I will use brown as color A and pink as color B. There are 2 important things you need to know about choosing yarn. Number 1, the yarn should not be heavy. You will know by looking at the label to find out how many meters of yarn you get for 100 grams. Here with this yarn, I get 280 meters. This one is lighter. I get 320 meters for 100 grams. Because this vest is pretty big, if it's heavy, it will be very uncomfortable to wear, so the lighter, the better. And the second thing you should bear in mind, even though the original vest is black and white, dark color yarn is not recommended for a beginner because the darker the yarn, the harder it is to distinguish your crochet stitches. So unless you are fairly familiar with crochet, especially half double crochet stitches, black and dark color yarn will be challenging to work with. We're gonna start with a number of chain, and this number depends on the size you're working on, so please pay attention to the written pattern. Keep in mind that for this pattern, we will need our foundation chain to be slightly loose. Now I will show you how to do that. We're gonna start with a slip knot as usual. You put the slip knot on your hook and close it, but don't close too tight. You want to leave a little bit of space between the loops and your hook. That looks good enough. Now, to make chain, you simply yarn over and pull through. Every time you yarn over and pull through, you make a chain loop, and that is our first chain. Now, before we move on to our second chain, you want to loosen up the loops on your hook a little bit. Like that, and you yarn over and pull through. Okay, that's our second chain. Now again, slightly loosen up the loops on your hook and yarn over, pull through. Okay, you see we have 3 chain. Now we're gonna keep repeating the same process until you have your number of chain according to your size. Now once we have our chain, we're gonna move on to our first row, and we're gonna have double crochet into the second chain and each chain across until the end. You see, this is the loop on your hook, first chain and second chain. Here is where we're gonna place our first half double crochet, alright? The chain shaped like little V, and there's a top loop of the V and the bottom loop of the V. We're gonna insert our hook under the top loop of the V for the stitch, okay? So for half double crochet, you're gonna first yarn over, insert your hook into the second chain and under the top loop, like so. Bring our loop with your working yarn. You can now see that you have 3 loops on your hook. Now to finish half double crochet, you're gonna yarn over with your working yarn and pull through all 3 loops. And that is your first half double crochet, alright? Now moving on to the next chain, we're gonna do the same thing, yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain under the top loop of the V, draw our loop, yarn over and pull through. That's our second half double crochet right there. Now again with the next chain, yarn over, insert your hook, draw our loop, yarn over and pull through. Okay, one more time, yarn over, insert your hook in the next chain, draw our loop, yarn over and pull through. All right, you see that we just did 4 half double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one you see right here next to the first stitch is a chain 1. Remember, when we work our first half double crochet into the second chain, not the first chain. So this is the first chain right there, all right? And it's important to remember this so that you won't mistake this chain and count it as your first stitch. The next one, this one is your first stitch. The stitch kind of look bigger than it, all right? Now, I recommend you to always mark the first stitch of every row. And this is especially important to beginners so that you always know which one is your first stitch. This is the first stitch, second stitch. You see on top of the first stitch this little V. Put your stitch marker right under that V on top of the first stitch. Alright, now we're gonna move on, repeat the same process, half double crochet into each chain until the end of the chain, and I will meet you right at the end to show you how it's like, okay? You can see here that I'm at the end of my chain and I have 2 chains left to work in. I'm gonna do that. This last one. Okay. Now, here at this point, you can check your number of stitches one more time, just to make sure that you have the right number of stitches by counting every stitch from this last stitch to this first stitch that you mark. Alright? Before moving on to row 2, we're gonna need a slightly loose chain 1. So you slightly loose the loop on your hook a little bit and chain 1. Alright? Now turn your work. And we're gonna keep working with this color, which we call color A, for a number of half double crochet stitch before we switch to our color B. You see, this is your first half double crochet. For the first half double crochet of row 2, we're gonna insert our hook right under the V on top of this half double crochet. Again, half double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook under the V on top of that first stitch. Draw our loop, yarn over, and pull through. Alright, now again, let's mark our first half double crochet of row 2. This is the body of the stitch, and on top of it, you will see this V. And you're gonna put your stitch marker right under the V. Okay, to mark your first half double crochet of second row. We're gonna repeat the same process until we have a number of half double crochet, and this number depends on the size you are working on, so please pay attention to your reading pattern, alright? So we already did 1, 2, 3, alright, now you see on our reading pattern that our next stitch would be a switch color stitch. And with this stitch, we're gonna switch from color A to color B. And to do that, we're gonna first work an undone half double crochet into this next stitch with our color A. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. You first work a half double crochet as usual, yarn over, insert your hook, and draw our loop to have 3 loops on your hook, right? Instead of finishing this stitch, we're gonna now drop color A and pick up our color B, and you see you're gonna hold it like this, okay, and slide your color B into these 3 loops you have on your hook to finish the half double crochet. And you want to slightly tie this tail with this color A, okay, just slightly, okay. From here, we're gonna work half double crochet with our color B, and color A will become our resting yarn. Instead of drop it behind our stitches, you need to bring it with your stitches like this, so that when you work half double crochet with color B, this resting yarn color A will be in the foot of our stitches. That way you bring it along and you can pick it up whenever you need it to be. I will show you how I do it. Half double crochet with color B, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, and you see here our resting yarn, it's right next to our stitch. Draw our loop, yarn over and pull through to finish a half double crochet stitch. And you see that the color A is in the foot of our new half double crochet. Now you're gonna keep repeating the same process and work a number of half double crochet with color B, and I will meet you when we finish that, okay? Now again, you will see in the pattern that our next stitch will be our switch color stitch. So we do the same as we did before. You work an undone half double crochet with your color B, drop color B and pick up color A. Finish the stitch with color A. Here, if you see that this half double crochet, it's a little bit bigger than the other, you can hold on and pull it a little bit, just a little bit, so that it looks the same as the other, alright? Now again, we work half double crochet with color A, bring this resting yarn with you in the foot of the stitches, and the process will be just the same. So please follow the pattern that I put on the screen for you, alright? Okay, you can see here that I'm at the end of row 2 and I have 3 stitches left. 1, 2, 3. The last stitch is the one that I mark. So I'm gonna finish that. Don't forget to bring your resting yarn with you on the way. So next one and this last one. Yarn over, insert your hook, draw our loop, yarn over and pull through. Alright, now you can put this stitch marker out. This is how it should look like by now. Now before we move on to row 3, we're gonna again chain 1 with a slightly loose chain, turn our work, and work half double crochet into each stitch according to your pattern. Remember to bring this resting yarn with you, okay? So put it right next to your stitches and work half double crochet as usual. And don't forget to mark your first half double crochet of every row, okay? Alright, now moving on. Half double crochet all the way until we get to our switch color stitch again, and I will meet you right there. Okay, so again now our next stitch will be the switch color stitch, and we're going to repeat the same process again with an undone half double crochet of color A, like so. Drop color A and pick up our color B to finish the stitch. Okay, now again we're gonna work half double crochet with our color B and bring this color A with us, and work a number of half double crochet according to our reading pattern. Alright, now I'm at my switch color stitch again, and I will do the same thing I did before. Drop my color B, pick up color A, and finish the stitch, and then again work half double crochet, and the process will be just the same. There's nothing new, so please follow the written pattern that I put on the screen for you. A little tips that I want to show you. Sometimes if you see your resting yarn, it's a little bit messed up and it can stick out a little bit, maybe like this. All you need to do is pull on that yarn, pull slightly, okay? Be careful not to pull too tight. If you pull too tight, the stitches will bunch up and that's no good, okay, like so. And if you accidentally pull it too tight, all you need to do is stretch your crochet fabric out a little bit, and that will fix it. Please follow the written pattern that I put on the screen. You can see that I'm at the end of this row and I have 2 stitches left. I'm gonna finish it in this last stitch that I mark. Okay, right there. I can take this mark out. And this is how everything should look like by now. Our next row would be where the pattern shifts. The crochet process will be just the same. The only difference is the number of stitches for each color. We're gonna work it in a way that we move this block of color B to here, this block to here, and this block to here, if that makes sense. And I will show you how to do that, okay? Now, we're gonna do the same thing as we did before. Finish this row with a chain 1. Turn our work, and remember to always bring our resting yarn with the stitches. All right, now we're gonna work the first half double crochet stitch, and don't forget to mark your first stitch of every row. It's gonna make everything easier. We're gonna work a number of stitches with our color A. That number depends on the size you are working on, but basically we will switch color right here. So instead of switch color here, as how we did before for this block, the pattern will change a little bit. We're gonna switch color here. And just to make sure, follow the number of your size in the written pattern, all right? So 1, 2, 3, so this next stitch will be where we want to switch our color. And we do the same thing. Drop our color A. Finish the stitch with color B. Don't forget to bring the resting yarn with you. And we work a number of stitches with color B again. Alright, and once you have that number of stitches with color B, we're gonna again switch color in the next stitch. Okay, like drop color B, pick up color A, finish the stitch. Don't forget to bring the resting yarn with you. And basically, we're gonna switch color here. But just to make sure, follow your number of stitches in the written pattern. Now here in the next stitch, we're gonna switch color. Drop this color A and bring up color B to finish the stitch. and again work a number of stitches with our color B. For small and medium it would be 6 stitches. For large and extra large it would be 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here again, in the next stitch we're gonna drop color B and work with color A to finish the stitch. And the process is gonna be the same. We're gonna again work a number of stitches with color A, switch color here, and then work a number of stitches with color B, switch color. The process for a few next row will be pretty much the same. There's nothing new, so please follow the pattern that I put on the screen for you, alright? I'm at the end of this row and you can see that I have 2 stitches left to work in. But first I want to show you how everything should look like by now. What we do next is that we're going to repeat the same process from here to here. This is row 2 and this last row that we just did is row 13 for size small and medium and row 15 for size large and extra large. So we're going to repeat the same process from row 2 to here for 2 more times. Before we go any further, I would like to show you the full version of the read-in pattern, which you can read for free on my website abocstudio.com. When you first visit the website, either you can click the Read Now button or find the free pattern section in the navigation bar to access the online version of the pattern. Here are everything you need for this project: guidance, notes, the read-in pattern, and especially the alpha patterns at the end of the page. These alpha patterns not only help you visualize the process, but also come in handy when counting rows and stitches. In fact, once you get used to the crochet techniques, methods, and rhythm of the pattern, the alpha patterns could be all you need. However, once in a while, the read-in pattern is necessary. Let's say that you want to check row 48. Front panel, small and medium. You can scroll up to find it here. You could also use this menu up here to easily navigate around and look for the row you need. This menu contains some useful shortcut links, which may help you keep track of the progress. Row 48 is between row 38 to 67, small and medium, of the front panel. So by clicking on this line, it will take you down where you just scroll down a little to find row 48. Of course, you will still need to learn all the techniques and methods, like how to decrease stitches for the neckline or arm line, and that's why this video is here for you. This pattern is completely free to read online. In case you need the PDF file for printing or reading offline on your favorite devices, you can visit the premium pattern store up here to buy and download instantly. This webpage is mobile friendly, which means that you can easily read and follow the pattern on your phone screen. However, for the best experience with the project, I highly recommend the printed PDF version. Now let's move on. So this is how everything should look like by now. And for the few next row, what we're gonna do is we're gonna decrease some stitches for the underarm. So first, let's finish this row. Put this stitch marker out and finish this row with a loose chain 1 and turn our work. Don't forget to bring your resting yarn with you, alright? On our next row, we're gonna decrease 2 stitches at the beginning and 2 stitches at the end of the row. Look at the pattern, you will see that we will skip this first stitch and work in the next stitch. So skip this first one that we usually work in and work in the next one. A half double crochet. Now that will become the first stitch of this row, so you need to mark it. Alright, now again follow the pattern. We're gonna skip this next stitch and then work half double crochet for a number of stitches until we need to switch our color. So skip this one and half double crochet for a few stitches until we need to switch color, right? So 1, 2, my next stitch would be the switch color stitch. So I will switch color and work a number of stitches with color B until I need to switch color again, and follow the pattern until the end of this row when you have 3 stitches left, and I will meet you right there to show you how to keep up with the pattern. You can see here that I have 3 stitches left, 1, 2, and 3. Follow the pattern. We will skip this next stitch and work in this one. And we will also skip this last stitch, so you can just take your stitch marker out. You don't need to work in there. You can chain 1 to finish the row and turn our work. Again, don't forget to bring your resting yarn with you, alright? Our next row, we're gonna skip 1 stitch in the beginning and 1 stitch at the end. So follow the pattern. We will skip this first stitch and work in a number of stitches until we need to switch color. So skip this one, work in this next one. Alright, and keep going until we reach our switch color stitch. And the process will be pretty much the same until the end, so meet me at the end of this row and I will show you what to do, alright? Alright, you can see that I'm at the end of this row and I have 2 stitches left to work in, and we see in the pattern that we will skip our last stitch. So let's work in this one. And this last stitch we're gonna skip, so we're gonna chain 1 and turn our work right away. On our next row, again, we're gonna skip 2 stitches at the beginning and 2 stitches in the end. And there's nothing new, so just follow the pattern that I put on the screen for you, alright? So this is how everything should look like by now. We narrowed down this a little bit for our underarm. For the few next rows, there's nothing new on the pattern. It will be very familiar to what we've done before. So please follow the pattern that I put on the screen for you. Then I will meet you again to show you how to create the neckline and the shoulder, alright? Alright, I'm at the end of this row and this is how everything should look like by now. For the next part, this piece will start to split into 2 for the neckline and the shoulder. And we will start with this side first and then I'll show you how to do the other side, alright? Let's finish this row right here. I already chained 1, so I'm gonna turn my work and take this stitch marker out. Don't forget to bring your resting yarn with you. we're gonna follow the pattern and work our half double crochet into the first stitch, and of course mark our first stitch so that everything will be easier. Then our next stitch would be the switch color stitch, so I would drop this one, pick up this one, and work my half double crochet. Then we're gonna half double crochet with color B for a few stitches according to your size. Then here my next stitch would be switch color stitch, so I drop this and pick up new one, the color A, to finish it. Then again work a few half double crochet according to your size until we have to switch color again, and I'll meet you right there. Alright, here we are at our switch color stitch again. We will work an undone half double crochet, drop this one, pick up this one, finish, then work half double crochet for a number of stitches according to our pattern, depend on what size you are working on. For me, I will work 6 stitches for size small and medium. Alright, and then you'll see in the pattern that we will chain 1 and turn our work right here. Chain 1 and turn our work right here. Moving on to our next row, we're going to skip the first stitch and half double crochet until our switch color stitch. So skip this first one, work in the second one and a few stitch until our switch color stitch. So I need to mark it right here. Now here's my switch color stitch, so I'm gonna do that. Work an under and half double crochet, switch color, and there's nothing new, so please follow the pattern on the screen. I will meet you at the end of this row to show you how's everything's like. Alright, you can see that I'm at the end and this is my switch color stitch, so I'm gonna do that. And work my 2 last stitch with color A. Okay. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And on our next row, we're going to work half double crochet into the first stitch. Again, mark your first stitch. Switch color here. And the pattern will be the same until the end of this row, so follow the pattern and then we'll meet by the end of this row, alright? Okay. Now I'm at the end of this row and you can see that I have 3 stitches left. According to the pattern, we will work these 2 stitches and skip this last stitch. So I work this 2 stitch and then we will skip this last stitch. We're not going to work in there, alright? And you see that we're going to chain 1 with color A. We drop this color B and chain 1 with color A, alright? You can pull this so that it closes up like so and chain 1 and turn your work. Don't forget to bring this yarn with you. Now follow the pattern. You will see that we will skip this first stitch again and then work for a number of stitches until we switch color. So skip this one, work in this one. Don't forget to mark your first stitch and Work a number of stitches until you have to switch color, and there will be nothing new, so please follow the pattern that I put on the screen for you. Alright, so this is how everything should look like by now, and for the next few rows we won't have to decrease stitches for this neckline anymore. We would just half double crochet and switch color when we need it, and I will meet you right before we need to bind off to show you how to do that, alright? Okay, this is how everything should look like by now, and I have 2 stitches left to work in before I bind off. If you are working on size large and extra large, you will bind off here, not here. This is for small and medium, but for large and extra large, you will bind off in this corner, and it's fine. You're on the right track, so don't worry about it, alright? I'm gonna work my 2 last stitch right here and show you how to bind off. Okay, now to bind off, it's really simple. You just take both of your yarn, color A and color B, and you chain 1, then you cut, I like to leave a long tail here so that I can use it to sew the back panel and front panel together. So we're just gonna leave it like 2 times longer than this. And you pull your yarn all the way out of that chain 1, tight to close, and that's it. Now I will show you how to attach yarn here to work the other shoulder. It is very simple. You're gonna take both of your yarn, color A and color B, and slide it in this first stitch that you mark right here. Pull it all the way out and you tie it. Now you can see here that we're gonna keep working with color A, so you pick up color A, pull our loop, chain 1, and we're gonna turn. And now we're gonna start row 1A. You do the same thing, bring your resting yarn with you, work your first half double crochet into this first stitch. You see where you tied your yarn and you mark it, okay, right there. Again, you want to mark your first stitch. Then you're gonna follow the pattern according to your size, and there's no new techniques and methods, so it's gonna be simple for you. It's only gonna be a little bit different in number of stitches to keep the rhythm of the pattern, so please follow the rhythm pattern that I put on the screen for you. So this is how our finished front panel should look like. Now once we have this, we will move on to our back panel. And the pattern for the back panel is exactly the same as the front panel from the beginning until you finish the underarm decrease. Instead of having a neckline here, you're just gonna keep going and keep the same rhythm of the pattern. Then when you get here, you create the back shoulder on one side and then move to the other side to create the other back shoulder. Alright? So it's really simple, simpler than the front panel, and there's no new techniques and method. So please follow the written pattern on my website to create your back panel. Once you finish both panels, you can come back to the video and I will show you how to sew them together, and then we will do edging for the neckline and the armhole. First, we're gonna start with sewing the shoulder together, and you want to put the panels together in a way that the pattern will be continuous like this. Okay? Because the panels doesn't have the wrong side or right side, so you can just flip them over to put them in the right position. Now we're gonna sew the shoulder together using our yarn needle. We're gonna use the invisible sewing technique for this shoulder. Take one of your long tail. You can take color A, but I'm just gonna take color B because it's gonna be easier for me to show you our moves. You put this long tail into your needle and use it as our thread. Then put this shoulder together side by side. You can hide this extra tail so that it won't distract you. You can see that the tail that we put in our needle comes from this piece. So first we're gonna insert our needle into the other piece, this one, okay? Put your needle from the outer corner of this piece and into the first stitch, this first V you see right there. Like so. And then move to the other piece, this one. You're gonna insert your needle into the first stitch and out of the stitch right next to it. And pull your thread in, okay? Then move back to the other piece. You see this is where your yarn is in the other piece. Put your needle back into the stitch and out of the stitch right next to it. Like so. And again on the other piece we do the same thing. See this yarn came out of this stitch, so we insert our needle back into that stitch and out of the stitch right next to it. And same thing happened here. Back into the same stitch, out of the stitch right next to it. Same. And you're just gonna keep repeating that same thing all the way until we get to the middle of the shoulder. Okay. Once you get to the middle of your shoulder like this, you can pull on the yarn and your piece to close up all the stitches. And then you want to stretch the piece out a little bit to reposition the thread inside, okay? And then we're gonna repeat the same thing, and you see here is your yarn. We're gonna move to the other piece, find the stitch where the yarn comes from, then insert it back into that stitch and out of the stitch right next to it. And yeah. Okay, we're at the end and I just have a few stitches left. And this last stitch, which is this one and this one. Okay, now you can pull to close all the stitches, and you can see that our patches look almost invisible. You're gonna put your needle back into here, leave a loop, put your needle into that loop and pull. That's it. Don't cut this tail right away. We're gonna need to weave it in back into the piece before we cut it. Now we're gonna patch the side of the panels together, and for this we're gonna use our crochet hook, the 4mm that we used throughout the project, and our yarn color A. First you're gonna put your pieces together, and you can use the help of a clipper to keep them together as you are patching them. But if you don't have clippers, you can use your bobby pin or stitch marker just to keep them in place. You can see that this color B yarn sticking out of the side a little bit, and they're actually not aligning. You might think that they would align like this, but they're actually alternating like this. Just keep it in mind so that your pieces will be in the right position. You take your yarn, put it right in a corner in the roots of underarm decrease right here, okay? We're gonna put our yarn in there and tie it, leave a little bit of a tail to weave in later. And now we're gonna use single crochet to join these two pieces together. And you insert your hook right in the same place where you insert your yarn, draw our loop, chain 1, and for single crochet, you're gonna insert your hook, take a loop you see on one piece and the one loop of the other piece, draw our loop with your yarn over and pull through, okay? That is the first single crochet, and we're gonna do the same thing to the other one. Take one loop of this piece, take one loop of the other piece, draw our loop, yarn over, and pull through, okay? Now, to patch these pieces together, you don't want to put too much pressure on the stitches, so loosen up your tension a little bit. And we're gonna just keep repeating the same thing. Take one loop on each piece and put them together with a single crochet. Once we're done joining the side of the panels together with a single crochet, this will become our wrong side and you want to flip it. Now this will become our right side. Now I will show you how to do edging for the neckline and the arm line. We're gonna use the same yarn and hook. You can insert your yarn here, right here to start, but I like to join my new yarn together with one of the long tail so that I have one last tail to weave in later. And I'm gonna use magic knot to join them together. If you don't know how to do the magic knot yet, you can learn it on my channel, how to join yarn with magic knot. Cut this off. Cut this off. Check one more time. The magic knot, it's really nice and secure. It's almost invisible. And now we can start using this as our working yarn. Now we're gonna insert our hook right where our working yarn comes from and draw our loop, then chain 1. Now we start single crochet on the edge of our neckline, and it's pretty similar to where you patch the panels together. You insert the hook right in the edge of the line, take 1 loop or 2 loops, then draw our loop, yarn over and pull through. And that's our first single crochet, and we're just gonna keep going around on the edge of the line. When you get to this part where the color beads stick out a little bit, you want to go over it like so and single crochet and keep going until we get back to where we started, and I will meet you right here to show you how to finish and bind off. Now we are back to the place where we begin. I just gonna finish one last single crochet here and maybe one more here, and you will find this first single crochet that you made in the beginning. You insert your hook right under the V on top of it, draw our loop, draw that loop through the loop on your hook. That's a slip stitch. You tie your slip stitch, chain 1 and bind off like so. Leave a tail to weave it in later. This is how it should look like. and here. All right, we're gonna repeat the same thing for the 2 armholes and finish with weaving all your tails back into the piece, and that's it.